Thank you for tuning into Beastwatch News Brief at the most current and comprehensive Bible prophecy website on the internet, BeastWatchNews.com. All Bible prophecy news, all the time. Stay tuned for news! The scripture for today in Beastwatch News is Genesis 1:5, and God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. First to the news in Israel. Israeli and Syrian forces are facing off in the Golan. Israel over the weekend officially threatened to attack Syrian tanks if they don't withdraw from the UN-monitored buffer zone that exists between those two nations in the Golan Heights. And just to give you an idea about how all the mouths are watering over the prospect of getting Israel, Russia has offered to send replacements for those Austrian troops that withdrew from the Israel-Syria border last week, but the UN has rejected such a deal. Meanwhile, Netanyahu and Putin have been talking about the prospect. Putin wants to override Israel and the UN's objections to them replacing those Austrian troops in the Golan Heights. Shelly Yakimovich has said that we are ready to be your safety net to the Likud government. She said, "Move this forward," talking about the peace talks, "and we will add wind to your sails. Push forward with bravery," she said. "We are ready to be your safety net," referring to the Labour Party that she heads. Yakimovich's comments come after a special Knesset meeting took place last Thursday, during which Netanyahu discussed the Arab League peace initiative. He said, "We are in favor of immediate negotiations without preconditions," but while Yakimovich admitted on Saturday that the PA is not the ideal partner for peace, she did say that Abbas looks like the best partner we'll have in the near future. Yakimovich continued saying that the Labour Party may just go ahead and join Likud if Netanyahu wants to push for peace. Even though things are not going well for the peace process, the U.S. apparently does still believe that business with Bibi is possible. The fate of the negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians will be determined over the next 2 weeks. It is still quite possible that we will have to announce their untimely death, though, while they are still in their father's womb. The Americans are sending out contradictory messages, but the Israelis are bickering among themselves. Only Kerry is still running back and forth in a frenzy, still believing in this prospect. Right now, the Americans don't consider Netanyahu to be the real obstacle to renewing the negotiations, according to this story. The Americans believe that what drives Netanyahu is his desire to survive politically. So, if Bibi can get his coalition to support negotiations with the Palestinians, he'll go for it. According to American sources, the real obstacles are the people on Bibi's periphery, Ya'alon and Lieberman. The deal should go something like this, according to this report. Israel will release a long and bad list of pre-Oslo prisoners. The Palestinians will receive an attractive economic package, and Israel will announce a series of benefits in Areas C and B, which will markedly improve the Palestinians' freedom of activity and movement there. What are the chances of this happening? 50-50, as usual. Deputy Foreign Minister Zev Elkin was in Rome last week for high-level negotiations with Vatican officials over several outstanding land and building issues revolving around properties owned by the Holy See in Israel. Elkin visited the Holy See to continue decades-long talks on a comprehensive land deal between Israel and the Vatican. The church has long lobbied to build a new church in a section of the Caesarea National Park where a church dedicated to St. Paul once stood. The other main issue is a plot of Vatican-owned land on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, currently used as a parking lot, but desired by the Holy See for a church. Israel won't allow the land to be used for construction, but has reportedly offered use of an alternative swath of land in the capital. And in plans and photographs and illustrations and puzzles and books put forward by Jewish believers over the Third Temple, the Third Temple is seen at the center of Temple Mount, rising high up above it, but there is no trace there of the Dome of the Rock, as if the earth had swallowed it up. Bashar al-Assad is now conducting mopping-up operations as the Syrian army has initiated Storm of the North in Aleppo. A military source told Al-Manar website that the Syrian Arab Army initiated on Sunday morning a wide military operation there, which is armed at regaining Aleppo and its countryside after the Assad army took Qusayr back. And Syrian helicopters have fired rockets near a Lebanese border area whose residents back the rebellion against Bashar al-Assad, a security official said. This is the second and latest in a series of attacks by Syria on Lebanon. Despite UN sanctions intended to stop trade between Iran and North Korea, both countries continue to import and export illicitly. Today, the U.S. called for greater enforcement of the sanctions to prevent the countries from obtaining more material for nuclear weapons. Reuters reports that the United States said on Friday Iran and North Korea are trying to obtain high-tech materials linked to their nuclear programs in violation of UN sanctions. Iran was also sending weapons and ammunition to Syrian government forces despite a ban on that. In Istanbul, thousands of demonstrators continue to occupy the city's central Taksim Square, entering the 10th day. They're marching, chanting, and raising signs that call for the Prime Minister to step down. Protest-related violence has killed at least 3 people and wounded thousands since the demonstrations began. Late Saturday in Ankara, protesters slowly moved closer to the U.S. Embassy, burning barricades nearby as clashes broke out with police. Turkish police in Ankara and Istanbul have fired tear gas and water cannons to disperse thousands of protesters early Sunday. And here in America, we are experiencing our first ever coup d'etat. America is in the midst of a coup d'etat, said Rush Limbaugh. A takeover of the government is being done by the Obama administration. Limbaugh quoted Herbert Meyer saying that he asserted essentially what's taking place in the U.S. right now is a coup, not a violent coup, and not a million artistic coup, but nevertheless a takeover of the government. He referred to it as a coup. And Rush Limbaugh said, I don't know if he used the word peaceful, but clearly there's a coup d'etat going on. The Justice Department is fighting the release of certain court opinions, finding unconstitutional those surveillance activities that the NSA has been secretly doing and that has been outed in the last week. In order to counter what's going on in the press, Obama has declassified the details on the PRISM program. Facing a firestorm from liberals and conservatives over controversial counterterrorism surveillance programs, the Obama administration on Saturday moved to declassify some details about a program to monitor foreign internet traffic. The disclosure followed on a release Thursday of details about the NSA's collection of telephone metadata of all calls made in the United States. Obama said there are significant misimpressions that have resulted from the recent articles. Not all the inaccuracies can be corrected without further revealing classified information. He further said, I have declassified for release the attached details about the recent unauthorized disclosures and hope that it will help dispel some of the myths and add necessary context to what has been published. But TheWeek.com is now claiming that NSA snoopers are sucking data from 50 companies nationwide. DHS Insider is saying it's about to get very ugly. From the report, if anyone thinks that what's going on right now with all of this surveillance of American citizens is to fight some sort of foreign enemy, they're delusional. If people think this scandal can't get any worse, it will, hour by hour, day by day. The present administration is going after leakers, media sources, anyone and everyone who is even suspected of betrayal. This administration is collecting names of sources, whistleblowers, and their families, names of media sources and everybody they talk to and have talked to. And they already have a huge list. If you're not working for MSNBC or CNN, you're probably on that list. If you are a website owner with a brisk readership and a conservative bent, you're on that list. It's a political dissident list, not an enemy threat list. It means that there will be censorship under the color of authority of anyone in the U.S. who is attempting to expose what's going on in our name. It's about controlling any damning information from reaching epidemic proportions. It's damage control to the extreme. It's about the upcoming censorship of the Internet in the name of national security. The plans are already in place. They will use some sort of excuse, an external threat like the combination of the economic collapse and a Mideast war that will begin in Syria to throttle the information that is accessible on the Internet. The DHS is coordinating efforts with other federal agencies to begin to threaten American citizens with incarceration for non-compliance. You know the old talk of color-coded lists? Well, this is what they will be using. Deadly times, war and censorship under the color of authority and under the pretext of national security. It's about to get a lot uglier. Stay tuned. At a meeting of the American Muslim Advisory Council of Tennessee, to the public, a not-so-veiled threat to non-Muslims was issued. When it became clear that their lies were falling on deaf ears, one AMAC speaker resorted to shaming the audience for their alleged rudeness and intolerance, and then to further insult the crowd, the AMAC speaker showed a condensed version of the video Welcome to Shelbyville, in which Tennesseans were portrayed as ignorant, bigoted, and rednecks. The event presented messages on two levels. Overtly, Muslims attempted to airbrush their image in America as having nothing to do with supremacy, triumphalism, and terrorism. A few of the hijabbed members of the AMAC even spotted T-shirts with messages supporting the First Amendment and American principles and laws. As for the government officials, they ostensibly conducted an informational session on legal statutes related to offensive statements and reassured the crowd that arrests would not take place. But the covert message was clear. This event was held to reinforce the supremacy of Muslims and their civil rights, as no other group has been afforded this level of deference or accommodation. It was a veiled threat to non-Muslims that Muslims and Muslims alone will receive special protection by the government, and hate crime prosecutions are on the table at some future point. Americans, beware. A recent report in Education News states that since 1999, the number of children who are homeschooled has increased by 75%. Though homeschooled children represent only 4% of all school-age children nationwide, the number of children whose parents chose to educate them at home rather than in a traditional academic setting is growing 7 times faster than the number of children enrolling in grades K through 12 every year. In Texas, a high school silenced its valedictorian's microphone during his speech on the Constitution, and a soldier has been told that he cannot read Levin, Limbaugh, or Hannity while he is in uniform. This is Beastwatch News Daily Update. See these and other stories at beastwatchnews.com. Bible prophecy news every day except Shabbat.